Hi. Can I help you, Watchful?
Me.
Ugh. Portal, the Watchful Pony, and Lighting Bliss. Twinkie! Fetch Watchful for me, would you, boy?
That was too close. I think she saw me, though. Why must I be such a coward? At least you've been making him brush.
Good boy, Twink. Here's a treat. Now, Watchful, you mind explain to me why you were acting like Starcatcher from Once Upon a Zeppelin around me? 'Cause it kind of freaked me out.
I'm sorry, Bliss. I mean, I really didn't mean to come off as that kind of person. It's just that, well, you see,
Yeah, okay, don't tell me. You think I'm super horse famous or something, and you are so scared to talk to me that you basically got yourself into a fester. Sheesh. So you scare yourself half to death, and you won't even talk to me, and everybody thinks I'm just this high and mighty person when I'm not, and you guys are coming off as stalkers who are obsessed with me, and...
Actually, I was gonna say it was because you were a mare.
Okay. That's a first. Aren't you dating another mare friend?
Well, yeah, but this is different. Rosie is an exception to this rule. I mean, generally I'm very socially awkward. Plus, I've never talked to something so...
You say cute. I swear to Celestia!
Actually, I was gonna say beautiful.
Well then. Okay, that was sweet, but I'm married and you have a mare friend. This is getting awkward.
I figured it would, but at least now I have your undivided attention. You know what, though? All this talk about fame earlier actually got me thinking about a certain episode that people have opinions on.
Oh? Which is?
Well, I mean Fame and Misfortune, of course. It's certainly an episode that has divided some people, though a part of me feels I would have a hard time tackling it, seeing as how I haven't really had to deal with the fame game, as it were. Plus, one perspective may not be enough.
And you think I could give a decent perspective since I'm considered well-known in our community. But I'm not famous, Watchful. At least not how some of our fans or viewers see it. My sub count is equivalent to a small town in the middle of nowhere that no one has ever heard from, Texas land.
Fair point, I suppose. Still, you've been to a fair amount of cons and panels and dealt with the experience a lot more than I have.
Well, that's a good point. I just hate the word horse fame. It was a joke title that people took too seriously. But I admit I do have something to say on this episode for sure.
So, that's a yes then? In that case, come on, let's go! Greetings, friends and pegs, this is the Watchful Pony here, and welcome back to Watchful's Watchings. Joining me today is the Rainbow Alicorn of the Rift, the one and only Lighting Bliss.
Definitely an interesting start to this collab. Not often I have to sick Twink on the host of the project to get it going again.
In any case, on today's episode, we talk about an episode that, while not very decisive, certainly does have people sharing their opinions on it left and right. It's hard not to when the episode in question could be seen as a take that to the fanbase.
I even heard rumor that the original writer M.A. Larson really didn't like how this episode turned out in the end, and even advised it to not be released. But to be honest, I can't blame him to that extent. While I was able to get some laughs and chuckles from the episode, I could easily feel a sting from it, as if some pony took a rubber chicken and slapped me in the cheek with it. But the episode didn't start off with that. If anything, I thought it was a great idea to hear Twilight and her friends feel the need to share their stories about friendship to the world. I mean, what could be so wrong with that?
I'm just happy we are finally seeing the friendship journal after all these seasons. I mean, we haven't seen this thing since, what, season 4? I was wondering what happened to it. I mean, it was a great messenger for the moral at the end of the episode, and it acted as a way to convey it without feeling forced. And then, poof, it was gone. Glad to see it's back though, and leads to some great continuity callbacks, as well as showing how the main 6 write in their own unique way.
But from here on out, this leads to nothing but endless and yet ironically similar situations that we Brony reviewers experience at conventions. We get numerous amounts of fans that are either for or against us, picking sides of who they like the most, even fighting over their opinions of who they deem is better. In this case, we have citizens of Equestria ignoring the purpose to the book, talking about friendship lessons, and proceed to stalk, question, even demonize the main 6 for what they had to say. And that is where, in our fandom, our opinions begin to split. On one hand, I could easily laugh from a well-known or popular person perspective,
Or as famous.
shut, that we will get these kind of fans that question our style of reviews or analyzing, and yes, sometimes we get hurt with what they have to say. But on the other hand, this episode is more like representing what we, the fans, are saying and how we treat or overly criticize the main six and their episodes, while repeatedly beating into us that we should care about what the episodes are trying to teach us and not how they were presented. But I have to argue against this heavily.
I can see where you are coming from, Bliss. I mean, how a moral is presented and what's led up to it is just as important as the moral itself. I think the best example I can think of where this is important is Somebody to Watch Over Me. In that episode, I did get the moral it was trying to teach, a moral about independence and overprotection. The problem came in the build-up by having Applejack come off as more annoying and even out of character, the episode framing, and the phrasing of the moral, which made the moral come off less as trying not to be so overprotective of kids, to, hey kids, you want to prove that you're a competent adult? Run away from home and take on a task that's way bigger than you have any hope of accomplishing. That's how you show them.
Not only that, but one should consider this. Why do reviewers and analysts exist for this show in the first place? Is it because we think it's bad? Actually, it's quite the opposite. It's because we love this show so much that we want to analyze and critique it because we know we can do better. The point of this new version of MLP, as Lord Faust stated, was to bring all ages of the family together so that they could get something out of it. Which is why I can't help but frown at Fame and Misfortune. It's almost as if the show can't handle constructive criticism from its fans and decided to say, hey, we hear you, so we're going to mock you by showing what your criticism does to us and how it makes us feel, through the heartaches, struggles, and stress of what the main six go through. And that's cruel. In no way, shape, or form do we, the brony reviewers or analysts, do what we do to simply beat down the show and its writers or animators or directors. We do what we do because we love the show so much that we would bother to share our opinions in the first place.
Well, when you say it like that, I can see why M.A. Larson didn't want this episode getting out. Because in a lot of ways, it definitely feels like a Larson episode. Heck, I dare say if it was ironed out more, it could have been a Slice of Life 2.0, making lighthearted jabs at the brony community except much more directly, as opposed to indirectly like in Slice of Life. And for the most part, that mentality does come through, as some points do come off as that Larson comedy. But as it is now, it feels like it's right on the edge of the scale between playful jabbing at brony and straight up mocking brony. I can see why people either love this episode and think it's hilarious, or think it comes off as a bit of a mean-spirited jab against the fans. Personally, I think it works for the most part, but I can see the other side easily.
Which is why I tried to take this episode from a different perspective and putting myself in a place of the main six and how I feel about myself when my fans come up to me after they've seen my work. I've had moments of sadness when I get a few comments saying, cringe, why is this even a thing, to Blissy is mean and comes off as if what's happening is unrealistic and doesn't matter. Just for speaking my mind on an episode I may have liked or didn't like because they didn't care for how I shared it. I related to Fluttershy so much when she was being bantered and, for lack of a better word, put on the spot, just because fans didn't think she learned anything from her friendship lessons. And when she tried to stand up for herself, it was brushed aside like nothing. I know this feeling all too well. It's nearly impossible for some of us to stand up for our work, knowing somewhere along the many voices there are going to be those that simply do not like or agree with us and want to make their voice heard over ours as much as they can. The episode drives home of what we reviewers put up with on a daily basis. No doubt about that.
I'll admit, I can't say I've dealt with something like Rarity's case. I don't really get much bashing, at least not as much anymore.
Give it time.
But I have gotten the occasional hate message just for stating my opinion. Hell, I once had someone unsubscribe to me just because I didn't say that this was all my opinion, or if you like it then you like it, for even so much as one episode. Even though it's always been a rule to the point where I make it a joke about being the golden rule of my reviews. And even though I haven't really dealt with it as much, I have heard stories about people dealing with these kinds of scenarios. From fans who think everything you do is amazing and never try to offer constructive criticism so you can grow, to hating you for no real reason or because of hyperbole like Rarity and Fluttershy, to whatever this piece of fresh shell is.
This is something I constantly have to reteach myself. We're not perfect, and we never will be, which means we will not be able to satisfy everyone, because we all have different opinions at the end of the day, for better or worse. But just when you think this episode can't get any more cruel, they had to try and make it false indie by having Twilight and her friends sing a song about why they do what they do, why they are friends in the first place, all of it being once again ignored and disregarded by their fans. It's a crushing blow to be short. It's sending a message to Brony fans and analysis alike. What is even the point to doing this? But then Starlight Glimmer comes in with two little fillies, whom both describe how the main six's friendship lessons helped to fix theirs when they were having problems. Just two little fillies was enough to pull the main six out of their stupor. Why do I care about this? Because sometimes that's all we need. A reminder that what we do does serve a purpose to others that get inspired from what we have to say or share. Sure, we're not always going to be liked, and there's going to be times where people will either overly praise or hurt us for expressing ourselves. But as long as we strive to share our different perspective, together as talking and thinking, well, I still think it's worth it.
And ultimately, I think that was the message Larson was trying to convey. That for all the bad fans that are either directly deconstructive like Rarity and Fluttershy's, to the indirectly destructive like Pinkies, to the very obsessive like Applejacks and Rainbows, the good fans that actually take away something from what you are saying make all the hell you are put up with more worth it in the end. I know because I've been there. If I can get personal, recently I've been extremely burnt out on doing reviews. I've been unmotivated and down about doing them and thinking about quitting. But funny enough, it was BronyCon, and not just the little fans I did have, but all the fans of the show that gave me a newfound love for the show and gave me motivation. And I feel that maybe in a meta sense, the moral is made stronger by all the main six had to go through, and the jabs at the fan base. I just wish it was ironed out more, as opposed to just references to other episodes and less unfavorable parts of the fandom.
Twilight was better before she got wings.
Oh, yes. Because we totally needed a reference to literally the darkest point in the fandom.
The point that caused me to nearly quit Brony. The point that showed me every single minute asshole that's in this fandom. The point that made me question why did I even love the show in the first place. The point where all my
I thought
idols
Blight
turned
had
against me.
issues.
The point that made me wonder if I was wasting my life on Brony, if this was even worth it in the first place. The
Watchful.
point that made me nearly kill
Watchful.
every single asshole out.
Do me a favor? Look at the pretty rainbow. Look, I get you. I remember there were episodes where I questioned ever liking G4 again, and there are going to be times where now and then the show will test our patience. But we can't lose track of why we fell in love with the show in the first place, because there are many episodes in the seasons that made us sore, or made us cry, or make us want to hug our friends and never let them go. The very same show that has brought to where you are now, where I am now. Sure, this episode could have used some work, there were painful jabs at the fandom, and it even wasn't supported by Larson. But while there are so many negatives we can continue talking about, it still helps to remind us of why we love doing what we do. Do you know what that is for you?
I'm sorry, did you say something? Oh, right, the episode. Anyway, yeah, I agree the episode did have its flaws and could have used some ironing out, but I think the moral, oddly enough, saves it a bit and even makes the episode more enjoyable for me. Plus, it's not without its funny moments that I would expect from Larson. As for rating, well, I'll admit I see more flaws as I go on, but I still enjoy it from time to time. This face alone is worth it.
Jesus Christ, how horrifying.
I would give this episode a 4.5 out of 6. Maybe it could have been used some rewriting, but that ending and some funny moments make me enjoy it enough. Thanks for joining me for this, Lighting Bliss.
Not a problem at all. But seriously, just ask me next time you want something, okay?
As long as you keep that walking stress ball away from me. I didn't mean it, please Tony!
Aw, he likes you!
I feel so blessed. Oh, and really sorry you had to see that little meltdown earlier with Twilight's wings.
Yeah, what was that anyway?
It's a long story. But enough about that, I'm sure you got places to be. Next time, guys, we got a big 4-year anniversary coming up. But until then, my Brony Brigade, I'm the Watchful Pony, and this is why I Brony.
And I'm Lightning Bliss. Keep an eye out for those rainbows. They will make you smile.
We'll see you guys next time.
They say I'm a big shot, that my ego's the size of a whale. My confidence comes off as cocky, but it gives me the courage to fail. Sure, I can be a drama queen, a bit stuck up, it's true. And I can be too eager to please. There's such thing as being too honest too, 'cause in my progress, my work in progress, we got dancing.
Crap. I was hoping I would have more time before this happened, but my past is coming back. And I gotta stop it any way I can. I'm gonna need to prepare for everything I can. I'm gonna need to prepare for my friends, I'm gonna need to prepare a spell, and I'm gonna need to prepare if I can't make it. Watch out, Cure, 'cause I'm coming for you.